Okay, so while you're doing that, let me repeat the question again for those of you guys that just came in. If somebody invited you to this 3-part series with Nicolas Acuna, that's called Financial Flow Futurism, and you'll get a better understanding of that here in just a minute. As Nicolas starts, after we let Nicolas loose on us, right? Because those of you guys that were on last time, woo, it was like, woo, wow, here we go. And so I heard from a lot of you guys, and so thank you. Thank you for all of the energy that you guys are bringing to this, because it's a real deal. So, and whenever you bring the energy, you guys, then it stirs things up. It stirs up Nicolas, it stirs up who the speaker is. And when you guys lean into this thing and pull on it, you're going to get what's coming to you, right? And you want all that's coming to you. So just really quick, I want to tell you guys something, and Nicolas, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. Okay, so I was talking to a rabbi not too long ago, and he was saying to me, Rose, it's like we're in the days of Noah again. And I was like, okay, all right, tell me about that. And he said to me, he said, the earth is being flooded again with wisdom this time. And I was like, oh, with wisdom. And he said, yes. And he said, you know how I know that? And I said, yeah, no, I don't. You know that. And he said, because of all the technology that's coming up out of the earth. And I was like, oh my God. That was absolutely amazing when he said that to me. Of course, I had to go away and think about it for a while, and I would love to hear Nicolas's response to that. But really quick, before we do that, I want to ask a couple of you people out there to unmute yourself and to ask, I want to ask you this question. What has been your, and you got to make it short because we got to get Nicolas to go, but what has been like your biggest mind shift? What's been your biggest aha moment over these last couple weeks since Nicolas spoke last? Based on the word that he brought forth, what has been your biggest Shazam, aha, gold nugget, however you want to say it? Okay, you guys go. Unmute yourself and tell me what you got.
You can bring eternity to the present.
Wait, say it again.
That you can bring eternity to the present.
Oh,
Eternal metrics.
yes. I love that. Love that. Okay, so what else, you guys? You people are not shy people. What is your deal?
I'll say something. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Value is eternal. And if we've been given Christ and we have all value, he's the most valuable thing that could be given. Now it's just a matter of what container that value is going to show up in our lives.
Oh my gosh, David, thank you. Oh, that was golden. Wow. Okay, let's take one more, and then I want Nicolas to answer my question, and then we're going to turn him loose on what he has for us tonight.
I thought it was really cool that he said that like success and it's biological. Like we were created for it. Like it's not like if it happens, it's just when prosperity, that's what the word was. It was like it's not a matter of like if, it's a matter of when. And that awareness, like I've been asking God to shift my mindset from a mammon mindset to a kingdom mindset, and doing the kind of like the cross meditation, just with the intention of like flushing out the mammon. And I actually had like greed show up inside of me, where God was like, hey, that's greed. You need to be aware of that. Like, as I've been trying to like clear that out, it was like, that's poverty mindset. And that's like, greediness. And so repenting of that, and like, yeah, it was just really cool. So.
Oh my gosh, Erin, that's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that meditation up, because you're right. That was awesome. And Nicolas, thank you for sharing that with us and giving us that revelation. So, okay, well, you guys, thank you. Thank you for those of you that shared. So Nicolas, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. Yeah, everything that I say is directly proportionate to how you listen. It's just one ecosystem. Sometimes I'm the listener, sometimes I'm the talker. Today I get to be the talker, which means that you get to be the listener, but the revelation is for all of us and it's coming from all of us, you know? We're one organic system. So yeah, that being said, Rose, to answer your question,
Yeah.
yeah, like in the days of Noah, every time that we go through an age shift, wisdom opens up. The wisdom that has been laid in futility and the wisdom of the new age, all of those emerge right at the time of an age shift. And right now we're transitioning cosmic ages, so a lot of wisdom that got relegated into futility, that never got acted on, plus all of the new stuff from the upcoming age, are being present on earth for anyone that hears, whether Christian or not, whether churched or not, right? And the fact that earth gets to host multi-age wisdom, it's her destiny, right? It's a gift for her in a way. Yeah, so I completely agree that we are in an age of crazy wisdom, and because of that, a lot of change.
Yes. Wow. That's awesome. Nicolas, thank you. Thank you for stepping into that for me. I know that I probably caught you off guard, but I knew it was in you. So thank you.
Ready? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear what you have to share for us tonight. So. Okay.
Sure. Okay, y'all can see my screen, yes? Yes, awesome, thank you. So I'm gonna go here into presentation mode really quickly. Just a very short, just a very short recap from what we were talking about last time, right? Is what you were saying, Erin, right? It's a biological and spiritual certainty that money flow will come to us, because it's the same thing as the eternal co-creative power of God, right? And when that eternal co-creative power of God gets refracted through the cross and refracted through our understanding, that is the same thing as health. That is the same thing as energy. That is the same thing as money. And it is our birthright. And the beauty of all of this is that there's a biological certainty that this eternity, this co-creation power can be refracted into money, and we can receive it biologically, right? So wanted to share that as a quick recap, and as well as this guy, right? We're going to talk about this one a lot. Separating is what you said, David, separating the value, right, from the container or the medium in which it flows, right? When we create value in the marketplace via innovation or whatever, the medium in which it flows has its own characteristics, right? So value flow can be this co-creative energy, solutions, efficiencies, innovations, while the container in which it flows, right, sometimes it's a physical or digital abstraction. It can be a network. It's tied to the technology of the time, right? It used to be shells. The medium used to be gold. It used to be oil. And right now, dollars, debt, and maybe in the future, Bitcoin, right? So what are the characteristics of the container, right, in which this value flows, that because of its characteristics, we can live differently, right? So that's what I want to explore today. So just a quick, that's just a quick overview of last time. And yeah, let me get into the one from today. All right. So Financial Flow Futurism, right? We are exploring the co-creative power of money, co-creative power, money, and Bitcoin. This is the second one out of 3. The next one's going to be next Thursday. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you a secret today that 99% of people don't know. Okay. And in a weird way, we can say, hey, why does a fancy coffee cost $7 now? By the time that you're done buying the coffee, you give the tip, you're like, wait, I just spent $7 on coffee. Is it significantly more difficult to create coffee now? Are we in a coffee shortage? Well, no and no, right? There's a coffee shop on every corner, and technology keeps improving exponentially. So what's actually going on here, you guys? All right. So today I'm going to tell you a secret that only 99% of people know. And I'm not exaggerating. You'll see once I get into it. Before we go into it, okay, I just want to say this. If the future were immediately graspable, it would be the present. So it requires study. It requires repetition. It requires you being that ground that gets tilled for new seed to come in, if you want to put it in older church language, right? If it were immediately graspable, it would be the present. So therefore, when you feel the stretch in what I'm saying, and if you need to go back into it, believe me, I had to like go through this myself many times until it like clicked, right? So I'm going to do my best to explain it, but it's going to take a couple of times, but it's just logic. So I trust you guys to understand it at whatever pace you need to understand it at. Because it's just logic, and y'all have wisdom inside of you, so you're going to understand it. So anyway, I just want to mention this because lean into the stretch, lean into the, oh, really? Is he like, really? Is that really true? Lean into that thing. If the future were immediately graspable, it would be the present. So therefore, we need to study. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go into this secret that 99% of people don't fully understand, and why fancy coffees cost $7 now. All right. We currently live in a financial debt system, right? Our houses are all debt mortgages, right? All businesses carry debt balances, whether it's lines of credit, whether it's debt that is being financed by their providers, right? Individuals live off of credit cards with debt, student loan debt, right? The government in the creation of bonds, right? It's a debt-based system that's what creates more money. And the whole idea of having a balance is that if debt goes up, right, then there's taxes from all the productivity of all of the society, and those taxes begin to pay off the debt, right? So in the best case scenario, there is always some sort of balance, while debt being a little ahead of taxes. Okay. Nevertheless, right, the reality that we're living right now is that the difference between debt and taxes continues to get less balanced. There's more and more debt into the system. People are more and more in debt. Governments themselves are more and more in debt. And since technology creates more efficiencies, if you leave technology alone, what she wants to do is to bring the prices of everything down. The marginal cost of production tends towards zero. Everything gets easier to make and therefore cheaper. We can kind of see it, like, let's say, like big screen TVs. Remember when those were like thousands of dollars, right? And then eventually it starts going down, 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 and down until there's only a couple of hundred, right? The calculator app on our phones. I remember buying a calculator for like, all right, I need to spend $60 on a calculator. Right now, it costs $1 or mostly $0 because it comes with the phone, right? So where's the taxes that we can grab from those products that cost now zero? It doesn't exist. So how do you balance taxes and debt? Because while technology is bringing prices of some stuff to zero, debt continues to go up. So what's the difference here? What's the delta between that? Well, that's when the governments print cash, the famous inflation. The governments can just print cash, put it into the system via bonds, put it into the system via rebates, in order to have some parity between debt and less tax base, because now technology brings prices down lower and lower and lower, so there's less taxes to gather from cheaper products, right? Before, when I paid for a calculator for $60, $3 were taxed. Those $3 that on a calculator that now cost zero evaporated. So how do you pay the debt back? Because that tax was used to pay the debt back. Well, the government prints cash to make out the difference. Okay, so hold that thought for a second. So now what happens as we're starting to go into the robotics and AI-based reality? Productivity is going to be even more. Productivity is going to be even more intense. In one of my companies, I have an AI-based company. I pay $400 for a service that previously would have cost me $60,000 2 years ago. Okay, and robots are coming online in the next year or two, right? And AI and robots are going to merge. So what that means is that the tax base is going to continue to decrease even more, because more stuff is going to cost less to make because of these enormous exponential advances in robotic and AI, right? So, but the debt's still going up. So what are we going to do to repay that debt when there's even less and less tax base because of robotics and AI? Well, this is what's going to start to this is what's going to continue to happen. Governments are going to print even more cash at the same exponential rate in which robotics and AI are being let to bring down costs. In addition to that, we're going to begin to see governmental restrictions on robotics and AI because it can't go that fast. And not because it's bad intrinsically, it's arguably good intrinsically, but we can't let it go too fast because it'll bring the tax base too low too quickly because it's exponential, and we still have to make up the difference because we just can't default on all of the debts. Imagine if one day, like, nah, I'm not going to pay my mortgage. No, I'm not going to pay my bills. The governments are not going to pay back the bondholders in all of the other countries. The whole thing falls apart. We have to service the debt. So how do you do it? And now there's exponentially less tax base. You print the money. You press a button at the central bank that creates more money in proportion to the exponential increase of technology. That's crazy right there. So this printed cash, right? This difference from this to this makes its way through the system, right? And then in the form of taxes begins to service the debt again, but it creates incredible inflation. And it adds to the debt because now all of this fake cash is debt itself. Okay, so what do you mean it creates inflation? Okay. So before that, okay, so technology, what she wants to do is continue to bring all of the prices down to zero. But the current system, no bad guys. I don't do bad guys. I don't do evil, no bad guys. Merely math. Merely how the current system is built is just incentives. Technology can't let the prices, we can't let technology bring the prices down to zero, because if we do, there's no taxes to pay the debt, and then the whole system falls apart. So therefore, we have to put unfair restrictions on technology and print the difference. So I like to say that technology is under the futility of broken money. Our money system is broken, and therefore technology, which is a cosmocratic power, it's a dissemination of the power of God. It's our ability to co-create at the highest fidelity, can't do its job because the medium in which it flows is faulty, and not necessarily because quote unquote people, rather than the characteristics of the medium. And that's why we spent time last session separating value from medium. And this particular dollar-based medium, this debt-based medium, is broken in the fact that it doesn't let technology do what it needs to do. So all of this printed cash creates inflation and adds to the debt. All right. So let's understand this inflation thing a little bit more. Right? This is the value, just math from when we were kids. We all remember it, simple fractions. Let's say I have one, let's say in case dollar, out of the $10 that exist, right? The container is this size. And hey, I have 1 out of 10. I know where I stand. That's my wealth, 1 out of 10, right? But what's happening, because the debt-based dollar system, you can print cash, all of a sudden it's not 1 out of 10. It's not only 1 out of 12. It's 1 out of 1,000. There's no cap on the denominator. So we're like, wait. I still have the same money on my bank account, but instead of being 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 12, it's now 1 out of 1,000. So I didn't do anything and it's already less valuable, right? If you're going to print from 10 to 1,000, what you would have to do is this one needed to be at 100 just to keep pace. And this is the inflation. All of this printed cash that now exists means that the denominator is significantly larger than the last time we took a mental snapshot of what we thought our wealth was. So now all of a sudden I have 1 out of 1,000. I didn't vote for that. No one asked me. Oh, it just happened because if not, the whole debt-based system falls apart because this money needs to be printed and put into the system. You're beginning to see the futility. Because I still have the same $1. So if I need to keep up, if we begin to understand that, I need my job plus an investment job plus a side hustle plus an Airbnb hustle just to continue to keep up with the debasement, the increase of the denominator. So now let's actually do real numbers. In 2019, the debt was 260 trillion. Now in 2024, it's close to 400 trillion because of all of the stimulus that happened during COVID, right? All of the money printing that has happened, quantitative easing, right? That's the fancy word that central banks use, so we don't understand it, right? But all that they're doing is making up this difference right here. Because this keeps getting smaller because of technology. So all of a sudden, the jump from 260 trillion to 400 trillion, that's a 30% increase, right? That my dollar, without me really understanding what's happening, now got devalued by that amount in proportion to the increase of technology. All technology is bad. Nope. The medium is the thing that's broken. Technology is awesome. It's so far the rate at which what we can co-create with God, and it will only increase in speed to the point that it's instant. But in order to do that, the medium in which it flows needs to not be broken. So what happens is that all of a sudden, all this extra cash in the system means that there's more cash chasing the same goods. So the prices increase. And that's why that's why a coffee costs $7. Because the denominator got significantly bigger, even though it's cheaper to make coffee now than ever in the history of the world. There's more coffee shops now than ever in the history of the world. So the container is the thing that has a hole in it because the governments can make more of it. Okay? Just to continue to put it in context, if these numbers are not staggering enough, I just read today that the US is servicing, the US servicing of the debt, not paying back the debt, just servicing the new debt, is more than the defense budget. Okay, no bad guys, no the devil, math. I'm just talking about math. Okay. So what happens here? As taxes go low because of technology, debt keeps going up, printed cash keeps going up. So what this means is that however many dollars we hold, under an infinite amount of denominator, an infinite amount of printed cash, what happens there is that we go to a hyperinflated world, or a hyper concentration of abundance, the rich getting richer, again, no evil math, I'll explain it later, or the full-on deconstruction of all value. Like in countries like in Venezuela, this is what happened to them. And a loaf of bread costs like 3 million bolivars, and it's not worth the paper in which it's printed. And people wheelbarrow their cash to the store to buy one loaf of bread because this is infinite and their value is completely debased. So that's hyperinflation, right? That's when all of the value of a society slowly and then quickly tends towards nothing, because there's no cap on how big the denominator can be. So therefore, what you hold keeps getting less and less and less and less, even though you're holding the same amount or even more. Even if you're still adding value to your personal wealth, in order to keep up, it has to be at the same rate of the inflation rate. Otherwise, even though you're quote unquote making more dollars, you're still losing value. And by the way, in modern times, in what we consider history of the last 10,000 years, even though we know that there's more, all empires have fallen because of this right here. This is the reason that empires fall. When their currency gets hyperinflated, because you can always make more, all of the value and all of the wealth of the individuals tends towards nothing. And then a society can't pay its soldiers anymore. And this is what happens. This is what creates, historically at least, doesn't mean that it has to continue this way, but this is what creates the fall and rise of empires. How you hold your value, the strength or the hardness of the medium in which the value that you create gets held over time. The hardness of it. And by hardness, right, it's how hard or how easy is it to make more of, right? Increasing the denominator, right? Fiat currencies, dollars, bolivars, euros, are so easy to make. You just press one button and it's done. The governments make more in a completely non-democratic way. Stocks, well, they're a harder asset, right? So when you begin to see hyperinflation and even the loss of value in your dollar, you start moving down this path to harder and harder containers of value, because a stock is less easy to make than 3 guys in the central government printing more money, right? There's all of these laws. If you're gonna raise another round of investment, right? You have to like do a stock split, right? Or you need to do another offering, another IPO. So it's harder to make more stocks. It's even harder to make more houses, right? You actually have to build it. You need to go get the land. You need to go get the permits. It's even harder to go make gold, right? Because you have to go and mine it, right? Or melt it. And obviously the hardest asset in all existence is Bitcoin, because you can't make more of it. And I'll get to the why later, right? But the important part of this conversation is not the technicalities of Bitcoin, even though I'll touch on it, rather than the why is this whole story that we're telling right now, right? The hardness of it. Okay, so that's why a bunch of us don't keep our dollars in a bank account, because we know intuitively, even if we didn't understand this secret that I just talked about, we intuitively understand, like, wait, how much are eggs? Wait, what? Wait, how much is coffee? Like, the tickets for the movie theaters are going up in price. Like, wait, what? So there's this de facto societal implicit understanding that now we need to quote unquote invest our money. But what we're, and obviously that's a good idea, right? Obviously. But what we're saying is, hey, our original container of value, the dollar, seems to be significantly broken. So we kind of have to figure something else out. And because we don't connect those dots, like the 99% don't understand this, we're just like, oh yeah, you just buy real estate to make more money. Cool, yes. But what's actually happening is we need to quote unquote invest in harder assets like housing, so we at least keep the pace of the inflation, not even adding, but at least keeping the value, even though the dollar numbers might seem that it's more, right? The dollar number might seem that it's more, but it's not growing at the same rate that this denominator is growing. That's why stuff is getting more expensive. But then what happens when all of a sudden everyone starts investing into real estate, right? A home has a utility price. This is the price to make a home, and then you sell it to a family. Everyone makes a little bit of money. And if the market were truly a free market, in which new technology of home building would allow the prices to go down, then home prices will continue to go down, right? But what's actually happening is that all of our value denominated in dollars, people are moving it to the harder asset, which is homes. And because there's less homes than dollars, home prices go up. And now there's an investment price on homes. And you keep hearing it, right? Like all of the young folk can't even buy a house anymore, because it's not because politician X or politician Y, right? It's because now all of these dollars are coming into this market, right? And then the sellers are like, oh wait, there's more dollars that want my home. Shoot, I'll keep raising the price. And now it's an investment home. And now it's significantly above what the utility price should be. And the increase on home prices over the last 20, 30 years can't continue, because otherwise no one's going to own a home ever. Okay, so what's beginning to happen as more money comes into this asset that, by the way, shouldn't even be an asset? It should just be a utility. It becomes unrentable and hypervalued, right? I own real estate, and the prices that I have to ask of my renters intuitively don't make any sense, but that's what I have to do to make the mortgage. Right? It's beginning to be unrentable. It's beginning to be hypervalued. And yes, there's micro corrections, right? There's like cyclicality to all of this. But in essence, this is the story of the last 20 years. So this leads to low quality, low beauty. Why would I concentrate on making a house that lasts forever if I'm just going to flip it and rent it? Why is it going to be like super beautiful, like a temple? No. As ugly as possible, because the money's in here, and then I get to have a bigger profit margin or less loss on my value. And it obviously at the margins leads to underhousing. You guys know, there's so many young people that live in roommate situations. They have 4 roommates per house, and they all live in one room because of this hyper value in the asset, right? And then obviously at the margins, more homelessness. The money's broken. Not evil people, even though there are evil people, but a container that has a hole in it that's creating all of these downstream consequences that are very palpable. Okay, so here's another one. The stocks, right? The so-called Magnificent Seven, right? Facebook, Google, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, those guys, the big players, right? If you take these Magnificent Seven outside of the S&P 500, the S&P 500 has not made any money. The only way that the stock market has made money is because of these big 7 companies. Okay? And those big 7 companies are the ones that have the most tech. And because they're the ones that have the most tech and actually have a stock, individuals, like many of us here in this call, begin to put our money there because it's harder to make a stock than to keep it in dollars, right? Like, cool, now my bank is Apple stock, I guess, because my bank can't be my bank. My bank is Apple stock. Good luck if you live in Nigeria, having Apple stock as your bank. But then what happens? It begins to get completely overvalued because it's never intended to be an actual bank, right? It was just intended to be owning a portion of the company based on how you think the company is going to do. But now it has nothing to do with how the company is going to do per se. Rather, how much money that used to be dollars, that used to be homes, or now is going to come into this. So what would be a reasonable price to earning price of a stock now has grown to be completely overvalued. So the typical investing fundamentals almost no longer apply to these main stocks because people are using them as banks. And then one level up of this increased concentration of power is another big. They're too big to fail. If Apple and Facebook go quote unquote down, it's not only the people who work at those companies, but all of us that, without even fully understanding what's happening, use them as our bank in the trillions of market cap. So all of a sudden, they become de facto tech and state oligarchies. And the power then concentrates in the 7 CEOs and the 24 board members and whoever's in power in the government. Not democratic, not representative, and again, math, incentives. Do some bad people take advantage of that? Yeah. And do some good people take advantage of that? Yep. All of this is not to get all riled up about the bad guys and the people in the power, but rather to break down the reasons of why there is this concentration of power. It's all a consequence of the futility of broken money. It's all a consequence of the fact that the current medium, dollars, you can make more of them without a cap. The more that you make, the more this happens. The more the value has to jump to the other one and to the other one and to the other one, and has all of these unintended consequences. Plus eggs being $8. Going the other way. Right now, I'm in El Salvador right now, right, on a vacation. And it's a third world country, and a wonderful, super tasty dinner cost me $2. Oh, well, it's just stuff that happens in poor countries. In us rich countries, dinner should cost $100. And we just admit that, and we just go along with that. Isn't that exactly reverse? Shouldn't the richer a country and the more tech a country has, prices should go lower and lower? Oh no, we're in a rich country. I should totally pay $60 for a couple of burgers, some fries, and some drinks and a movie. But it goes unaddressed because we don't think this through. This is why I'm telling you that it's a 99% secret. Okay, so I don't want to live in a world of homelessness, low beauty, and de facto state tech oligarchies. What do? Right? Well, we've tried gold before. I can't grab my gold, right, and go to the store and shave some off to buy a shirt. I can't send my gold to my family over my phone. If my gold is in Fort Knox or in any other bank, I guess I have to trust those people that that's what they actually have, that they have it there. And if we start doing that, then wait, so my gold is in Fort Knox, but I actually want to use it, but I can't use it to shave some off to buy a salad. Oh, why don't we make paper that is tied to that gold, and we only make enough paper that is tied to the gold that we actually have. And there's a one-to-one relationship. And maybe the paper is the abstraction or the representation of the gold that we have. Sounded like a good idea until it wasn't, because then the government then said, let's just make more of this paper. And that's what happened in 1971 when we officially got kicked out of the gold standard. And now there was nothing, quote unquote, backing the dollar. And now the dollars can get made at whatever rate governments wanted, which is this rate, right? At the rate of technology decreasing, because then the tax base is lower. So you have to make up the difference to make up the debt. But with that printed cash, the debt goes up anyway. So it's unserviceable, you guys. It's cyclical, in which you have to do more and more and more and more and more and more of. This is how empires have fallen, because of this. The only way to fix it is you have a war and then you reset everything. Not something any of us want. Okay. So this is a lot. Okay. Everything that I just said is a lot. I trust you guys that you follow the logic, right? This is the reason that we haven't let prices go down, even though that's what technology wants. This is the reason that our ability to co-create with God instantly, right? That's the maturity of technology, is when we instantly think something and it happens. And we're moving farther from that in some areas because of what we're just talking about here. And then power is concentrating. And therefore we feel the world changing. Okay. It took me a couple of times to understand this, right? So again, I just trust you guys to think through this, to feel the inherent knowledge, logic, to feel my energy, right? Feel my energy as I talk and transmute it into your understanding, right? So right now you can understand from two sources, your own and mine. If you feel my energy in which I'm talking to, it makes your understanding faster. That's just the way it works. We all can feel it with Kirby, obviously. Okay, so what do? I love this quote. Many of you might have already seen it. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Buckminster Fuller, architect, philosopher, genius. Like, oh, so we don't fix the current one, we make a new one. Okay. Boom, Bitcoin. By definition, from the start, it's inverted. If I have my value up here, right, from my business, the money that I've been able to make, the container, the medium, one of its main characteristics is that you can't make more of it. It's capped at 21 million max. And based on the exercise that we just went through, we just saw how one of the problems with the current medium is that the denominator is uncapped, and it creates all of these issues that we just talked about. So the inverse is also true. When you have a container that is capped, this little trick that governments across history and across the world use to make more money, to print more money, to pay the debt because we don't have taxes coming in because of technology, that game is now not available if we switch mediums in which we store our value to Bitcoin. Because of its intrinsic technical characteristics, you can't make more of it. Okay, we will get to why this is true, but I invite you just to trust me for a second and just trust me that we can't make more of it, because we can't, but I'll explain more of it later, right? But let's just hold it in our mind. So if you can't make more of it, so then how does society then look like? So how is this game then flipped? When the denominator is capped, the overall value increases. If I have X value and I add 1, and you can't cap the denominator, the value of the whole network increased. If I keep adding value because I keep creating innovations and businesses and companies, and I can't make more of it, the value of the network increases. So anyone that has Bitcoin, if that's the value system in which we live, everyone's Bitcoin is worth more now because you can't make more of it. So therefore, the thing that grows is the value of the network. Sounds pretty opposite of the other thing that we just walked through, ain't it? Sounds like the exact opposite. When you have infinite value over a capped denominator, you get prosperity. Because there's no hole here. Can't make more of it. That's how you get prosperity. And again, I'm not selling anything. I didn't make this. This is merely just math. If y'all buy Bitcoin, nothing happens to me, right? This is just math. Because we're able to understand this by separating value from medium. Ooh, this new medium, and by the way, the history of the world is to change mediums in which we hold value. That has been a historical constant. So we understand the perils of our current medium, and we understand the characteristics, the positive characteristics of a potential new medium that's emerging, then what happens to value there? Mathematically, this medium can hold prosperity. Is it a guarantee that everything's going to be perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is this a guarantee that this will be the only medium forever and ever more? No, of course not. But its intrinsic characteristics, by stark contrast with the current medium, the math says that we can actually hold prosperity. Okay. So that's the secret that 99% of people don't know yet. This is the reason why stock costs more, even though technology is going better. This is a very clear out. And again, hey, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, so then I sell it for more dollars. Cool. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. But it's like saying, I'm going to buy a car so I can sell it and get more horses. Man, I'm going to invest in cars, and once I sell them, I'm going to be the person with the most horses. The way to get out is from a new model. And this is why I'm adding futurism to financial flow. Because even though we're in the cusp of switching mediums, all of the eternal principles that Kirby teaches that we've talked about before, they all still work, right? Being consecrated, being under an order, supererogation, sowing and reaping, tithing, all of those eternal principles, being righteous, they still work. We just are living in that particular moment in history in which we're switching mediums. So the wisest thing to do is to understand the intrinsic characteristics of this medium and see if it's worth us moving our value from one medium to the next one. And obviously, it is my assertion that it does, right? I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I'm selling my extra real estate to buy more Bitcoin. Not only are prices going to go lower in real estate, because now eventually they'll reach utility price because they're not overvalued, but now I can grab that money that I had in real estate that I can't spend, right? That I need to go fix toilets, and I need to go manage my all of my renters. Now that money is 100% liquid, and it works in any country. Because my real estate money only works in the state in which I have it. Plus, it's not even accessible anyway. So switching mediums, way more liquid, way more freedom, zero cost of carry. It's not only that the maximum supply is capped, is that it's instantly liquid. I'm getting ahead of myself, but no government makes it. So I can use this money in any country without having to have the permission of anyone else. In America, I need the permission of the American government to only use one medium, dollars. With this, I can go in any country in the world and use this system instead, because it's a parallel system that is being built in real time. Okay. So all really good features that the current medium doesn't have. So, hey, the price is volatile. Yeah, it's very volatile. This price is very volatile. But let's understand what we're talking about here, right? Because like, yeah, cool story, Nicolas, I get it. But you live in a fantasy world. The price is all over the place. That is correct. That is 100% correct. But let's understand what price is. Price, the price of Bitcoin, it's the rate at which we're moving from one system to the other. And it goes in fits and spurts because people understand it and get excited about it. Then like, oh, I don't know about this. And then I then sell it, or then I actually go into it. And then the number goes up and then I sell it for more horses instantly. Right? So the price is a little all over the place for that, but the volatility is up. If you average out all of the volatility, this is just merely a fact. In its 15 years of existence, it's gone up in average, 140% every single year. Okay? Huge up and downs. That's why everyone that's in Bitcoin, we say that this is a long-term hold. You just hold it long-term. And if you believe in it, if you've built enough conviction in your heart, if you've built enough conviction in your brain, in which you're like, maybe I should move some of my value from the system with all of these holes to another system. What if it doesn't work? Cool. If it doesn't work, you're still in the same situation. You're still in a system that clearly doesn't work. At least this one's going up 140% every single year, long term. And obviously, there's way more to study about this before your conviction is fully strong. And I'll gladly share more resources after we're done with all of this. And that's why I wanted to talk about it with the starkness of one medium and the other medium. So it's very evident to see the differences. Okay. So when we have a denominator that's fixed of 21 million BTC, value can go up and then prices can go down. Because we don't have to create all of this fake money. Remember all the fake money that was here in the other graph that then got inflated, put into the system, and now there's more money chasing the same goods, and therefore it's more expensive. In a Bitcoin system, then that doesn't happen. So then technology can actually do what she needs to do, and everything keeps getting easier and easier and easier, and you don't have to put any artificial sweetener on it, no fake money on it, and prices can go down. Because there's no debt to repay on a Bitcoin system. Okay? So here's the crazy part. If everything that I haven't said isn't crazy enough, here's the crazy decision that we all need to make. We can join this new system as a species. We can join as a country, or we can join as individuals. Obviously, joining as individuals then leads to countries, then leads to species. And I don't know what's going to happen, right? But I can only tell you what I'm doing. As I've joined this system as an individual, everything is significantly cheaper for me. Okay? 4 years ago, my car was 450 Bitcoin. Right? And now it's 0.8 Bitcoin. 4 years ago, my house was one of my properties was like 2,500 Bitcoin. And now it's 8 Bitcoin. Right? Eggs and dollars have gone up, but in Bitcoin, they're a minuscule fraction of what it was 2 years ago. Because the price goes up. And then if you live in a Bitcoin standard, everything gets cheaper. And it's just a choice that we have to make. So like, wait, does that mean that you don't have any dollars? And as soon as you get paid, you turn it into Bitcoin? Yep. That's what I do. And then if I need to spend it, I spend some Bitcoin. right? Not for everyone, right? A step before that is just getting used to it by buying it. And once you buy it, you just hold it and you look at it for long term and you see how it goes up without you doing anything. And you look at it, how it goes up without home prices increasing, without the stocks being completely hypervalued to the point that Apple can't fail. And if you, and again, we're just observing what's happening. Okay. I said 99% secret. The 1% know. The biggest buyers of Bitcoin in the last 4 years are all of the governments of the world and the biggest hedge funds in America and in China. BlackRock, biggest hedge fund in the world, now is buying Bitcoin in the billions of dollars per week. They begun to get it. 52% of every single fund in America now owns Bitcoin. That just happened in the last 3 months, y'all. In the last 3 months. And now all of the family offices and the super high-end advisors are now beginning to tell all of the rich clients to allocate at least 5% into Bitcoin. So the early days where it was just like the geeky computer people like myself are almost gone. Now it's the 1% in which it's countries and companies and all of the funds that are now buying the Bitcoin, because they get everything that we just talked about. They were just waiting for the legal framework to allow them to do that. So the 1% is loading up. That's why this year the price has already gone up 300%. And the price is going to go up forever. Not because I say so, not because I'm overhyping it, because you can't make more of it. And as more people understand the value of the container, especially when you compare it with the previous container, you're going to use more and more and more dollars for people to sell Bitcoin, and therefore the value goes up. So don't take it from me, take it from BlackRock and Fidelity and Vanguard and Wells Fargo. Guys, the banks themselves are beginning to buy Bitcoin into their balance sheet. Well, how come now and not before? The laws weren't there, but the laws just passed. In the last 30 to 60 days, now banks can actually own Bitcoin, and now they're using that as their reserves. Okay. And what we already talked about, right? The value flows in a less flawed medium, right? And the eternal principles still hold, right? And this money is just harder. It's more honest because we know when more money is injected into the system. It's a known monetary policy. It's decentralized, right? Anyone can buy Bitcoin. Anyone can mine Bitcoin. No government, you don't need to ask permission of any government to use this. And it's for sale. It's still for sale. It's still incredibly early. Okay. The last thing I want to mention, well, we're getting to the end, but another thing I want to mention here, it has a very mystical origin. It's very weird. The quote-unquote inventor is this guy called Satoshi Nakamoto that no one knows who he is, or if it's a he or a she or a team of people. No one has heard from Satoshi in 15 years. People think he already died. It's truly anonymous. Okay? Why is this important? Well, if the government wants to quote-unquote stop this, who do you send who do you I'm choosing to think that that's a sign. Who do you send the cease and desist letter to? Who do you send the FBI windbreaker guys to? What office do you raid? There's no such thing. It's a commodity, right? Like corn or like wood. There's no CEO of wood. It's truly anonymous and it's truly decentralized. And even if this person would come back online and say, hey, I'm here after all these years, the way it's decentralized, this person would only control one node out of the tens of thousands, and they can't change anything anyway. They couldn't change anything anyway. So there's way less counterparty risk. If you say something that pisses off a government or a company because of the concentration of power that we just talked about, well, the company just calls the social media company that then calls your bank, and then they just freeze your money. With this, what are you going to do? The money's not in a bank. I have it. It's between tens of thousands of computers. You can't do anything with it. You can't take it away from me. Another wonderful feature that we've never had before in money. Right? So I don't want to get too deep into the technicalities of it. If you guys are interested, I will gladly share some resources on it. But the main idea here is that all of the computers that run Bitcoin, and all of us can download the software into our own computer, have every single transaction, the history of all transactions in all of our computers. So no one can fudge the numbers, because you would have to control 51% of the computers for 10 minutes, fudge the numbers, right? And then by the time that the 10 minutes are over, there would be more computers anyway. And then we would say, you know what, that looks fake. We're not going to make that transaction as actually valid. And then you can't actually change it, right? So trust me, this gets more complicated technically, but the main point is that no one person can change the ledger. It's honest and therefore is righteous, right? And there's no single point of failure like in a banking system, as we just talked about. If the bank doesn't like you, they press one button and your ATM card doesn't work anymore. How free does that sound again? Okay. Again, not controlled by any government. And listen, I like governments, right? It's not anti-government. It's just merely a feature, right? A central bank can make more of it. I'm not saying anything with bad guys. We're not getting all excited in our hearts against no scandal. That's the word I'm looking for. There's no scandal in this switch of mediums. Okay, if we switch out of scandal, it's almost as if it's scandal and greed are cousins when it comes to money, because you can bring mammon mentality into a new medium as well. And if we bring greed and scandal into a new medium, it still converts itself into mammon. I'm not saying that this is perfect and this is the word of God. I'm just saying that this is the next evolution of the medium of technology, the medium that holds value in technology, and its intrinsic characteristics are merely better. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, if you go to the bank, let's say you have $100,000 in the bank, and you go to the bank and you ask them for the $100,000, you ain't gonna get it. It ain't there. That money's already invested. The bank itself invested it into bonds. And all of the bonds, because of the debt, are already upside down. So they can't even sell the bonds at a loss to get the money back, because then the bank goes under. With Bitcoin, I have it under my pillow in my wallet. If I want to give it to someone, I do it. No one tells me that I can't access my own money, my own value, right? Okay. And I say it has a known monetary policy, right? Every 10 minutes, a new block of the blockchain gets created, and every block contains all of the transactions of the previous block. So therefore, every block contains the whole history of the network, right? And computers vie for minting the new block. I'm not going to get too much into it, but the whole point is that if you get a new block with your computer, you get a reward. That's the 25 Bitcoin per block in 2012, and it halves every 4 years, right? So we just crossed the halving in 2024. If your computer mints the new block, you get 3 Bitcoin as a reward, right? And right now we have 19 million out of the 21 million that have been created. There's only 2 million left to be minted. And it'll end in 2040, right? So there's still 2 million Bitcoin to be minted from today to almost 120 years from now. All of that to say it's a known monetary policy, right? Right now with the current monetary system, I don't know when they're going to print more money, raise interest rates, decrease interest rates. We can guess, and guessing is a whole industry unto itself, right? It's like what pope are we going to have? Is there black smoke coming out of the chapel in Rome in Italy, or is it purple smoke? It's like that archaic. When the chairman of the Fed says we're not going to raise rates or we are going to raise rates, one guy says 3 sentences and the whole market shift. Completely archaic versus a known monetary policy, right? Okay, yeah, we just talked about this. Non-editable, the history of all of the transactions from block to block. Yeah, and if you have built enough conviction through all your own study and what I shared today, what I do is I downloaded the mobile app from Strike and the mobile app from River, and download the app, you connect your bank account to the app, and then you buy Bitcoin, and then it's yours, right? My giving to WOWLife, I give it to river.com, right? So Rose, like we have a bunch of Bitcoin now for WOW. And it's super simple. It's the same thing as, it's easier than if you would open a trading account on your Merrill Lynch or in your Fidelity, right? Or Robinhood. It's exactly the same thing. So I know that was a lot. But as a preview to next time that we meet, I'm going to go into the what ifs if there's a Bitcoin-based economy. What new things can the church make? What new things can entrepreneurs make that before we couldn't make because of the characteristics of our money? And how radically does that change everything in the world? And then I'm going to talk about some potential future mediums post-Bitcoin, arguably 100 years from now. Okay? So I just said a lot, and I'm very thankful that y'all listened. I could feel you listening, and I really appreciate it. But I just want to show you this one more time, right? That's why prices are going high. Because of this right here and the inverse right here, okay? So with that, I will stop for today. I don't even know what time it is. Talked for a very long time. But yeah, thank you for listening. Rewatch this and be very aware of, if you make a decision to buy Bitcoin, be very aware of what's motivating your decision. Don't let it be fear, because then you're just bringing fear to the new system, right? And the operational power of fear, even though it will be in a better system, it'll still be there. Don't make a decision out of greed, because then the same thing, then you'll turn a better monetary container into mammon. Don't make it out of ignorance. Okay, build the conviction, because if not, you're just gonna sell it whenever the price goes down, right? That's what's gonna happen. That's what I did. The first time I bought Bitcoin, I sold it, a portion of it, because I was scared on the price, because no one explained to me. When in doubt, zoom out. Oh, it keeps going up significantly, and if it had like a wild swing, this is not what I'm using to trade. This is not trade money. This is long-term money, okay? Yeah, and I just want to cover this. Oh, what about Ethereum and Dogecoin and all of those other ones? That is not the same thing, y'all, for the very simple reason that they can make more of them. And they have a CEO. There's a guy to go sue. You can go send the cease and desist to the offices of Ethereum. There's a guy that made it. That one guy, just like the Fed right now, decides if there's going to be more Ethereum or not. Okay. So if you want to trade, right, what we've learned from Dan Wheeler and Mark Wilburn, that's just trading price history and price action. It has nothing to do with the intrinsic characteristics of the assets. It's just timing sell patterns and buy patterns on the market. It's human behavior, which you can make a lot of dollars doing that. And obviously our friends do. They do make a lot of money understanding human behaviors of selling and buying. But what I'm talking about is a completely different thing. It's putting some of that money that you gained in either trading or your job or your company into a better monetary system than the dollar. Two separate things, okay? So think long-term of this thing if you've built enough conviction in your heart and in your mind to go into this. We are still incredibly early. So I commend you to your conscience. Ask me questions and I will post more resources. And if I will consider this a success, if you now have 100 more questions than before this. Okay. So with that, thank you. I can stop right here. Rose, what is next, my friend?
Oh my gosh, Nicolas, we had to lean in and listen. Oh my gosh, there was so much that you shared. It was amazing. It stretched my brain. I'm sure it stretched many others as well. So, okay, so here I have a question for you, because there were lots of questions in the chat about what's next? How do we do this? You know, whatever. Okay, first of all, what I want to say is what's next is to not move into FOMO. Do not move into fear like Nicolas talked about. Don't let this thing like grab a hold of you, wrap around you, and take off with you. You don't want to do that, right? Because we are used to listening to Holy Spirit. And so yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of questions, and you guys have to know and believe that the answers are going to come for you, right? Because you're aligned. You're aligned in this in the system of heaven, and the answers are going to come for you. So just stay tuned and just follow the leading. Okay, but practically speaking, I'm sure that Nicolas is going to, you know, give us some more practical examples of like the next steps. Okay, and Josh, my friend, thank you for, you know, adding your 2 cents in there, or 2 Bitcoins in there as well. So I know that was a little pun there, but anyway, okay, so next, yes, we're going to answer some of the questions, I think, in the next session. Is that right, Nicolas? Some of the more.
We can definitely do that, or I don't know how we're doing on time. You're the boss. If you want to have some questions now, we can do that as well.
Okay, well, since I'm the boss, okay, so here, tell us what you would, I mean, I love that you talked about to not have fear, to not let fear wrap around this, because you don't want to take it into your new medium. That was key. That was really, really key. Okay, so tell us about what would you, so somebody's like, yes, there we go. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that screen. Somebody has like, they have nothing. They're like, wow, okay, Bitcoin. Yes, I just heard that. I just am now figuring out what Bitcoin is. Okay, so what would the first step be? Like to go to, you know, those 2 apps? Is that what you suggest the next step to be?
So if you're ready to buy because you've understood enough and it's made sense enough that I'm like, okay, cool, let me play with this thing.
Yeah.
Go download these 2 apps, buy a little bit, right? Buy a little bit.
What you're willing to lose.
Correct. Buy a little bit. And once you do that, you're going to begin to play with it more and more and more and more, and you're going to see the number over time go up. And the number going up over time, it's what's going to lead you to have more curiosity into how does it work technically, right? I didn't get into the technicalities of it, right? But the number going up will build your curiosity to go into it. So what I would do, heck, what I did, I use Strike and River, download the app, right? They're going to ask you for your ID, just like if you were opening a brokerage account. Then you just connect your bank account, right? And then you can buy Bitcoin from the app, buy $20, $50, right? And then immediately that Bitcoin will be yours, right? And then at that point, if your conviction continues to grow, if you see yourself being more and more hungry, right, then you'll eventually buy more and more and more, right? What my wife and I do is a portion of my paycheck, I convert it into Bitcoin every single month, and it's a set it and forget it thing. And these apps allow you to do that, whether if it's $100 to $100,000, right? However much you want to turn into Bitcoin, you can do. And yeah, the curiosity will come as you play more and more with it, and it's a rabbit hole. Okay, there's no one that has gone through the Bitcoin rabbit hole that comes back out and said, "Oh, you know, I actually know." The deeper the rabbit hole is, the least likely you are going to be to move back out. So I would do that. Get these apps. They're free, obviously. Put 20, $50, whatever you can. And then I'm going to share a bunch of YouTube channels that talk about all of this. The how-tos, the technicalities, the philosophy, the culture, right? And that way your conviction will grow because it's not just me saying it, right? And again, not crypto. A lot of people are going to try to like take advantage of you. Oh, give me money and I'll trade it for you and buy your crypto. Nope. These apps, vetted, 100% legal. Yeah. So those are without a doubt the next steps.
Yes. Okay. Let me ask you this question. And of course, this is totally opinion, and we are all, you know, responsible for our own actions. And so, yes, what would you say is like the worst thing that a person could do with this right now?
Two. One,
okay.
There's two things, right? One, fall for a scam in which people on YouTube or on WhatsApp say, hey, if you give me X amount of Bitcoin, I will give you triple the time later. Those are all scams. If it's too good to be true, it's a scam, right? Buy it only from the reputable sources. Don't fall on for any too good to be true. They're all out there. So that's the worst thing that you can do. The second worst thing that you can do is buy some and then sell it the first day you see the price go down because you got scared of it, right? And didn't think through this being a long-term thing. That's the second worst thing that you can do. Just, oh, I'm scared. Okay, I'm out. Then you really didn't allow yourself to go through this.
Yeah, that's really good. And that's why, you know, I mean, like I was always told that don't invest, don't spend more than what you're willing to lose. So whatever your threshold is. But then the other point that I want to make is we don't want to over spiritualize this either and say, oh, I feel like the Holy Spirit's telling me to give my whole paycheck. Do you have responsibilities that you need to take care of first? You know, make sure that I love to do experiments. So when you start small and you give it some time and you can watch it, you know, then you can always move forward from there. But don't just don't go all in because you don't know what you're doing. That's not wisdom. So yeah, Nicolas, do you want to speak to that really quick?
No, I completely agree. You said it perfectly.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I think that there's probably, it's like 8:22 here. So we allotted for this amount of time, but if there's any other last questions that, yeah, I'm not sure if I see any. There's a lot of questions, but Nicolas, you said that you're going to drop some YouTube channels and, you know, that sort of thing. And so Nicolas and I will, we will come back together and we will figure out how we will get that to you. And yeah. So,
yeah, let me say one more thing. It's a common misconception. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin, right? Right now they're like at $67,000, $70,000. You can buy $5 worth. Okay, you can buy as much as you can. You don't have to buy the whole thing. If you have $5, just buy $5. Common misconception. Someone needed to tell me that as well. So just wanted to mention that. I'm just going through the questions on the thing.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Thank you for saying that because you're right. I mean, years ago, because I made that mistake when I first opened up my Bitcoin account, I opened up Coinbase. I don't know what you think about that, but You know, and I put some money in and I bought some Bitcoin, and I should have held on to it for the long haul, but I didn't because I freaked out and I sold it. And now, you know, anyway, so yeah, so that was, please learn from my mistake. And so anyway, yeah, so Nicolas and I will, you know, figure out how to get you guys these videos that he's referring to so that it can help us all learn, because the biggest thing is that we want to learn from this, and we want to grow in our financial investments so that we can invest in the kingdom, right? Yeah, you guys, it's a real deal. So, okay, next week, we're going to meet next week, same time, same link, same place. And you guys, over this week, please, please, please just be, I mean, I hope you can feel my goosebumps right now, because here, I'll just hold out my arm. Can you guys feel my goosebumps? Because this thing is hot and it's on fire right now for a reason. Because we are moving into a new thing. And, you know, and the Lord's saying, you know, Isaiah 43:18-19, letting go of former things like that old mindset, because behold, I'm doing a new thing. And so I need you to get a new mindset. So thank you, Nicolas, for helping us. Thank you for helping, you know, crack open our old mindsets to think differently, and just to even like stick our big toe in and, you know, continue to walk this thing out. So again, everybody, thank you guys for hopping on this. Nicolas, you're the best. And yeah, and so you guys, I'll either get with Nicolas and get the videos, and I'll either post them on Facebook, we could send him an email, we can let us think through that, and we'll get back with you guys. So, all right, you guys have a great rest of your night. Nicolas, thank you again, buddy.
Thanks all. Appreciate you.
Hey.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Rose.
Shalom,
Thank you.
shalom.
God bless.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Bless you, Rose.
Amazing.
Thank you, Nicholas.
See you next week.
Amazing. Yeah.
Bye, you
All
guys.
right.
I
That was
could
so
learn so
good.
much. Yeah.
So
Thank
good.
you.
So good.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
everybody. Prosper.
Yes, prosper.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Bye, you guys. You guys are the best.
Yes. All right.
Bye-bye.